An English teacher engages in a romantic relationship with her teenage student after offering him free tutoring lessons. Claire Wilson, an English teacher, is preparing for her first day at Westerbrook Middle School in the 2013-2014 academic year. In the school corridor, she asks Catherine, the French teacher, where the staff room is, explaining that she is new. Catherine asks her where she transferred from, and Claire says she used to teach at Reverton Middle School. During the morning faculty meeting, Principal Ravas introduces the new English teacher to the rest of the staff. Then the French teacher suggests they go for a drink to tell her about the inner workings of the school, much to Claire's delight. After lunch that same day, Claire enters the grocery store to buy a few items. While there, she notices a display of lipstick, takes one tube, and deftly slips it into her purse. Sitting in her car, she takes out the lipstick and tries it on in front of the mirror. That evening, while preparing dinner, Claire tells her husband, Mark, that she wishes he didn't have to go on a business trip. He agrees, especially since she is ovulating, making it the perfect time to try to conceive. She mentions they can always try again next month. Then Mark asks her how her day went, and she confesses that she had earlier stolen lipstick from the store. He is puzzled by her actions, but she simply dismisses it as a trivial act. The next day, Claire meets her senior English class for the first time, and friends Eric and Josh are in awe of their beautiful teacher. As she reads the poem Rumor in Thomas's Delaunay, Be Not Soft into That Good Night, the students curiously watch the woman. Shortly after, Eric goes to Mr. Costel's office to inquire about a scholarship and community service for Travis Circle. The elderly man mentions that being the football team captain and working part-time at a snack bar are positive factors for his pending application. But he will need to score at least 150 points on his exams, so the student promises to work on it. On the same day, during football practice, Logan sees Claire getting into her car and asks Eric who the attractive woman is. He says she is their new English teacher, but complains that she has given them a lot of homework. After practice, Logan looks at his ex-girlfriend, Rykalison's profile on Instagram, and realizes she wasn't as beautiful when they were together with his friend. He then looks at Josh's sister Mary's profile and teases his friend that his sister has also become more attractive. Moments later, Eric asks Josh for a ride to work, and his friend agrees to do him a favor. Meanwhile, Matt texts Claire that his flight is cancelled and encourages her to go out and celebrate her first day at school. As she looks at her microwave dinner, she gathers her things and heads out. Just as Eric's shift is ending, Logan and Josh signal to him from outside to head to the back of the snack bar. There, they pass around a joint, a banned substance, and then coerce the employee into making them milkshakes. Inside, where the friends are at the counter, Logan notices Claire and says he wants to introduce himself. Reluctantly, Eric and Josh join him behind the counter and sit next to the teacher. Moments later, Logan receives a text from his mother asking him to come home, and he and Josh leave. The lonely student notices his friends consider the food he orders free just because he works at the snack bar. Claire insists on paying for the milkshakes. She mentions she used to work at a snack bar and knows how hard it can be to earn money at a young age. Their conversation shifts to college applications, and he expresses his desire to receive a scholarship to attend Texas University. However, he has already taken the entrance exams twice and did not meet the required scores. Suddenly, he offered the teacher to help him prepare for the exam, and she said that if the school allowed it, she would agree to it. Later, after dinner, she offered to drop him off at home. In the car, she mentioned that her brother, who is a policeman, lives in the same neighborhood as Eric. Then she turned on a radio play by Frank Ocean, and Eric was surprised that the teacher was listening to such music, finding it even more interesting. Lying in bed, the teacher checked her phone and saw that Eric had sent her a subscription request, but she decided not to do it. That night, Claire had a dream where she was sharing an intimate moment with her student in the marital bed. Suddenly, this woke her up, and he said he had managed to catch a late flight to get home. Although he just wants to go to sleep, as he is tired from the trip, Claire tells him that they should make love, so as not to waste her ovulatory cycle. On the weekend, the woman dresses up to go out, and when we ask her where she is going, she says she is having a late breakfast with Catherine. However, in reality, she is meeting Eric at a cafe, so they can start their first tutoring session. A month later, Eric finds himself at a house party with his friends, where he ends up kissing his ex-girlfriend Elison. In the middle of the date, Logan comes in with Mary, and Erison tells them to leave, and says that Mary can do it much better. Soon the cops arrive to apprehend the teenagers who are singing, drinking alcohol, and using illegal substances. Eric tries to escape, but just as he runs out the bedroom door, the police officer is already coming up the stairs. Later, Officer Police Neutralson orders the student to blow into the breathalyzer. Understanding that the citation from authority will look bad if included in his college scholarship application, he asks the police officer if he has a sister who works as a teacher at Westerbrook High School. He begs the police officer not to contact his mother, but instead call Claire, because she has been tutoring him for several weeks. A few moments later, Claire's brother calls her, detailing the predicament her student is in. The woman asks him to simply ignore this indiscretion as a favor to her, and says she will come there as soon as possible to pick up the boy. So she tells her dad that one of her students got into trouble, and she needs to go help him. Meanwhile, Eric sits on the curb next to Ellison, who is surprised that he didn't get a ticket. Then her father comes to pick her up. Later, her brother takes the student to Claire's car, and the woman thanks her brother for doing her a favor. After the police officer leaves, she scolds the student for making the wrong decision, and he apologizes. She states that he must never tell anyone what happened tonight, including the fact that her brother bailed him out and that Claire drove him home, as this could lead to her brother losing his job. When he calls her Miss Williamson, she tells him that he doesn't need to be so formal when they are not at school, and that he can call her just Claire. The next morning, Eric is preparing for his tutoring session at the cafe later that day, when his brother Phil calls and says there's a lady at the door. To his surprise, he finds Claire standing outside and invites her in. She says that he didn't answer any of her calls, so she decided to come to his house to check if he was okay. This woman proposed that instead of their usual exam preparation, they take him somewhere else for the whole day. So Eric sends his younger brothers Phil and Devin to the neighbors before the pair can set off. Sitting in the car, he asks the teacher where she is taking him, and jokingly adds that he feels like he's been kidnapped. Claire tells him that she is taking him to the Texas University, or the University of California, so she can show him around, as it is also her alma mater. While walking around the campus, she asks him about his life goals, and he says he has always wanted to be a doctor because he wants to help people. Suddenly, a pickup truck stops in front of them, and it's Cody, Logan's older brother, who attends the University of California. He calls Eric and invites him to a small party at their fraternity house, which will be happening in a few hours. Although Eric was initially hesitant, as he is studying with a teacher, he says he will come after Claire tells him to go. At the party, the woman reveals that this is her first official fraternity party. She explains that she always had to go to work at the school because she had to take care of her alcoholic father, and the responsibility never allowed her to attend social events when she was a student. He tells her that he has never met his father because when his mother got pregnant, he just abandoned her. Claire encourages the teenager not to miss out on pleasant experiences and to live life to the fullest. After a few seconds, Eric pulls something out of the woman's hair, and his gentle touch leaves her flustered. They gaze at each other for a while before she looks away and says they should probably head home. When she gets home, she deletes his message where he expresses that he had a great time today. Meanwhile, Eric waits for her response, and when he checks her Instagram profile, he sees that she still hasn't accepted his follow request. At the same time, Claire enters the house and sees the music equipment that Mad just bought. He explains that he met some doctor friends at his job who are also into music and want to start a band. The woman is outraged that he spent money from their savings on something he never consulted her about. He claims the money he used was from his grandfather's bond, but she argues they should have used it for something useful. Hurt, Mad says he's always loved music and feels she doesn't support him, so to end their argument, she leaves. At home, Eric tells his mother Sandy that his teacher took him to the University of California for the whole day to show him around, which thrills the elderly woman. That same night, while Mad is asleep, his wife takes his phone and finally accepts her student's request to follow her. The next day, Jose learns that neither Logan nor Eric will be punished for what happened at the party, to his horror. And then Eric realizes that he can now view Claire's profile. He smiles, prompting his friends to ask what he finds so delightful. Fortunately, a phone call interrupts their conversation. A few moments later, as the student is standing by his locker, he notices the woman standing at the entrance to the classroom. He opens her profile and sees that she has posted a photo of the tower at the University of California with a caption saying she had fun yesterday. Gathering his courage, the teenager approaches Claire and asks if they can talk, so she leads him inside the room. He asks her if she received his message yesterday, and she says yes. He thanks her for the campus tour and then slowly moves closer to her. Suddenly, he kisses her on the lips, and the startled woman pushes him away and tells him to leave. Unfortunately, Eric starts apologizing for what he did and quickly exits the room. The stunned woman sits at her desk and touches her lips, shocked by what just happened. The next morning, the teenager wakes up from a dream where Claire is pleasuring him in the classroom, with all his classmates sitting behind him. At the hospital, Claire and Matt meet with their doctor to discuss their chances of conceiving. The doctor bluntly tells the woman that her uterine condition is rapidly deteriorating, which is causing her significant stress. Before the couple parts ways, the man says they can still consider the option of in vitro fertilization. However, his wife reminds him that it is she who will have to undergo the invasive procedure. Feeling stressed, Claire asks if they can continue the conversation at home because she is already late for school. After his English class, Eric stays behind to apologize once again for what he did yesterday. The teacher emphasizes that what he did was wrong, because if anyone finds out about what he did, her life will be ruined. He promises he will never tell anyone about it, and asks if she will still tutor him. Claire, horrified, says she will no longer do that, and that it's not her problem if he can't find someone else. The student begs her to reconsider, citing that he can't afford to attend the SUT prep courses his classmates can. Feeling sympathetic, Claire relents, but only if he promises he will never do anything like that again. At football practice, Logan asks Eric if he is going to the homecoming dance. The student hasn't made a final decision yet because he still doesn't know who he will take with him. His friend encourages him to go, especially since he has booked several hotel rooms for the after-party. Jor thinks he should just take Allison, since everyone knows they will get back together anyway. Later in the gym, Claire and Catherine are helping students decorate the dance space for prom. Then she sees Eric invite Allison to the event, and she agrees, clearly troubling the teacher. That evening, Matt would like to continue their conversation and take them to the doctor in the morning. However, his wife does not want to talk about it, stating that she has just started working at Westbrook and feels that at the moment it might not be ideal to begin taking hormones as per the doctor's advice. So, Matt reaches for his wife's hand and assures her that he is willing to wait until she is ready to take the next step and says he just wants to start a family with her. The next day, upon arriving at Logan's house, Eric sees that Cody is also there. The student Colette asks him to share the latest news about the woman he saw him with at the University of California. Logan feels betrayed because his friend has never told him about the woman he is seeing. So Eric makes up a story that her name is Stephanie and that she is studying at the University of California. When Logan asks him when they can meet his new girlfriend, he says that right now everything is very hot and cold, but they will meet her when the time is right. He then receives a few messages from Claire, asking him where he is, but he chooses to ignore them. Meanwhile, the teacher is sitting anxiously in the cafe, wondering why her student has still not shown up for their session. Before the dance, the high school students hold a pregame at Logan's house. Logan's constant mentions of the booked hotel rooms upset Josh, who knows that his sister Mary is going to the dance with her friend. At the dance, Catherine and Claire are sitting in a closet, complaining about how much they dislike chaperoning the event. In this state, the French teacher offers her stressed-out friend a sip of liquor from a flask. In the gym, Claire jealously watches as Eric dances intimately with Allison on the dance floor. Later, she asks the teenager why he never showed up for their tutoring session. He apologizes, and she reminds him that he had begged her to continue tutoring him. Ultimately, he admits that he has been avoiding her because he can't stop thinking about her. He can't be around her because he is so strongly drawn to the teacher, and he doesn't want her to get in trouble. The stunned woman tells the student to go back to the gym. A few minutes later, as Eric stands tiredly with a punch, he meets the gaze of the woman sitting across the room. She gives him a knowing look and heads towards the exit. Eric follows her to the parking lot and silently gets in her car. She drives to a secluded spot and turns off the engine. Claire turns to him and says they don't have to go through this if he doesn't want to. But Eric says that's the way it is. So the teacher orders him to the back seat, where she soon joins him. Eventually, she undresses him They exchange a passionate kiss, and they proceed to make love.